we're just gonna start, okay? I'm gonna ignore everything you just said, and I'm just gonna do a cold open. Today's topic might be the single best light mech ever built in the setting. Like, it's so dramatically better than pretty much everything else that came before it that I struggle to say it isn't just magic. The fantastical reality warping mech wizard blessed this chassis with extra tonnage and crit slots unseen or something, or he's just straight up cheating with all of those anti-gravity heat sinks that you can find in all the modded mech warrior games. And honestly, one of my favorite parts about this mech is that it caused the Draconis Combine to writhe around in impotent rage as it just styled all over them. Because seeing the war crime weebs humiliated and suffering reminds me that the world is healing and there is hope. Today, we are talking about the WOLFHOUND, a 35-tonner that bullies mechs an entire weight bracket above itself, and a mech that kicked off its career by tormenting the Combine relentlessly during the Fourth Succession War. Also, a mech used by a couple pretty famous characters. We'll be going over its history, some significant accomplishments, how the best faction created the best mech, the garbage knockoff called the Wolf Trap, and some funny variants at the end. But before we get into things, introductions. Generic greetings, I'm Sai, and this is Science Insanity, a channel dedicated to bringing my love of science fiction and all of its glory to you, the viewer. Along for the ride and trying his absolute hardest to ruin my day is my co-host and content fodder, Steve. Introduce yourself, minion.
Hello, I am Steve. I do have a very important question. You say this mech is good and all, but is it as good as the game 100 Cats Lost in Turkey?
Stop. This bit has already run its course, and you have... Stop. I don't... Why is this even a feature on Discord? Why is there a list of every game every member has played while on my server? Why does Discord think I need this list?
I honestly hope that is not this list, because I have some serious questions for a bunch of you if it is.
Why is this here? Okay, I would like to get...
Gnome Rampage.
Stop. Please, Steve, we're trying to talk about science fiction and mechs today. I don't have time for these weird games that people have been playing on my server. Please. Let's start with something that's relatively easy to just jump right into: how this mech looks. Battletech has a lot of great-looking mechs, and it also has a lot of utterly awful-looking monstrosities. The Flashman, the Bane, the Jenner, the Yeoman, just everything about the Hollander. They really did not do this mech justice. They drew it from every bad side. It's nothing but bad sides with the way they drew that thing. But while mechs like the Flashman and the Yeoman are still absolute cheeks, the Jenner and the Bane and the Hollander got amazing glow-ups courtesy of PGI and CGL artists that have been slowly redesigning everything. The WOLFHOUND, though, they basically hit the nail on the head from second one. Those early images I posted, yeah, you can see kind of those initial designs. They're a little strange, little thin looking, but the core is all there. The chest-mounted weapons, the big arm gun, the sharp head, the way the entire body angles inwards, giving it a chunky looking but thin, slim, thick design. That's the word I was looking for. Slim, thick design. It's just awesome. And they nailed every element of it from minute one, to the point that both modern redesigns from CGL and PGI are basically just the same. They just gave it the Ultra HD update and changed nothing else. I really want to gush about it for hours as well. It's like the King Crab or the Marauder or PGI's Centurion. It's just aesthetic as hell. I absolutely love it. This is my favorite Inner Sphere light mech by design. And for longtime viewers of the channel, congratulations, you now have the full side lance. WOLFHOUND, Centurion, Marauder, King Crab. There you go. One Inner Sphere mech for every class. That is now the canon official channel lance. This thing is great. And a good place to start on why it's so great is because it was designed from the ground up to be better. Literally built different, superior to all others. The Fourth Succession War was pretty much inevitable. You remember what the Fourth Succession War is, right?
Yeah, it was the fourth one in the Wars of the Succession.
Oh, for which interstellar power, huh? What are the successors fighting over?
All of them.
No, but like what are they trying to succeed? What is their... Come on.
Each other.
No, Steve. We've been over this like 500.
The League.
Yeah, okay. That's the second half of their name. What's the first word? Come on, you're right there.
That Star.
Okay, now say the full name, Steve.
Comcast.
I hate
Comcast.
you. I hate you. I hate you.
Do you hate me as much as you hate Egghead to the rescue?
I hope you realize every time you do that, I'm going to have to go look up a thumbnail for the game in order to have, like, visual reference. I hope you realize that.
Outstanding. You're just making me want to scroll through this
Stop,
more.
no. This is going to be a 1-hour video, and I'm going to edit out 30 minutes of it. Just all the stuff with you going off the rails. It's just not going to be there. You're going to introduce yourself at the beginning of this video, and then it's just going to be me for the rest of it.
We're not going to hear from me again.
Yeah, we're not going to hear from you until the last 2 minutes of the video when you say, like, goodbye or something. That's what's going to end up happening. So, yes.
Car Flipper Simulator 25.
25? No, I'm not getting drawn into this. We're not going off the rails.
I'm going to assume that one is supposed to be 2025. I don't know why they would make one each year, but...
Could ask the same thing about Call of Duty, but so getting back on, I'm dragging us back on track whether you want to or not. So yes, the successor states are fighting over who gets to be king of the Star League, basically. The Fourth Succession War, just like the First, Second, and Third, was pretty much inevitable, and with the joining between the Lyran Commonwealth and the Federated Suns, the Federated Commonwealth threw the balance of power irreconcilably out of whack. For the first time, someone looked like they were in position to outright win. As such, before any major moves were made, the Fedsuns and Lyrans began several weapons programs to give themselves the edge. And while every successor state was incorporating tech and discoveries and rebuilding from the Helm Memory Core, as well as working on new battle mech designs, FedCom had arguably the best early start. The Hatchet Man wasn't an amazing mech by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a solid, strong design with some really favorable fighting conditions. Mainly any battlefield where it could run up and whack something with the big slab of metal it called a melee weapon. In its first deployments, it proved a pretty decisive weapon because enemy mech warriors would look at it, go, holy shit, what is that? What can it do? Why is it getting closer so fast? Is that an axe in its hand? Oh, I get it. And then proceed to die when they get clonked by the giant mech-shaped hatchet. New mechs were a really wild shock for most of the Inner Sphere at this point, so with the success of the Hatchet Man program, FedCom created another mech, the WOLFHOUND. And like the Hatchet Man's express purpose of engaging other equally or bigger mechs in melee to punch up and basically take them out of the battlefield instantly, the WOLFHOUND was envisioned as a hard counter to the Combine's favorite tactic. Swarms of hard-hitting, fast light mechs that would flank and engage enemy positions of opportunity. The Combine basically loved to just Zerg rush a whole bunch of untrained people in very small mechs straight into the enemy's lines, and wherever they found a breach or wherever they found a flank to turn, congratulations, that was where they were going to hammer all the rest of their stupid little Zerglings into to try and break the enemy lines. And unfortunately, despite how annoying this is to face on the battlefield, they did find incredible success doing this, suffering relatively heavy losses, but generally being able to outmaneuver and outfight a lot of the bigger, slower opponents that they'd often face off in the Lyran Commonwealth. Because, yeah, speedy little shits that do nothing but flank and skirmish is really impossible to deal with when your building-sized robot can barely move and, you know, you're lugging 10 million weapons that'll generate heat and they just keep firing inferno rounds at you. So, kind of torture for the Lyrans, so I can understand why they definitely wanted a hard counter to that. And as such, the WOLFHOUND...
No, I don't get it, man. They should have just been built different.
No? You don't think it... What do you mean?
Just been built different, I mean.
Okay, how? Built different how?
Better.
Okay, but how? Come on, flex that big brain of yours. Tell me...
By not making weapons that generate so much heat and could actually move.
Okay, yeah, but then they wouldn't be the Lyran Commonwealth. That's like their whole shtick. They're giant, immobile fortresses on legs.
They should figure out a way to have all that firepower and armor and stuff and still be able to do the other stuff. Ignore the triangle thing about you can only have 2 of 3. Make it 3 of 3.
The armor, firepower, maneuverability triangle. Just do all 3 anyways. That's your
exactly.
You know, for the first time in a while, you actually preempted me because that is exactly what the Lyrans did. They followed your advice to a T. They just did all of them anyways. The WOLFHOUND had 3 design principles that made up its core. First, be fast enough to keep up with or catch enemy light mechs. Second, be tough as old boots to survive an all-out fight against said light mechs that they were designed to engage. And thirdly, hit hard enough to just decisively destroy anything in the same weight bracket as them. And it hit all 3 and more. So it was fast, it was tanky, and it hit like a truck. All 3 wrapped up into one. Why pick 2 when you can have all 3 instead?
Now, for this short break in the action, we have another game that I have found on here.
Oh my god.
Hot Dog the video game.
No, I'm not curious. I'm not curious. I don't want to hear more. So
Cut the grass?
shut up. Early trials of this mech.
God,
Stop.
wait. We have Drunkard Simulator. You compare that one with what you play right before it, Beer Manufacturer Simulator.
Oh my god, stop. This was supposed to be like a 30-minute recording session. We're 30 minutes in and we barely got anywhere. Early trials for this mech showed incredible promise, and when the mech was given to the Hellhounds and the Wolves Dragoons for field testing, it proved an absolute game changer. Its large laser could outrange the Jenner, a primo light mech that the Combine loved using for assault and flanking, so the Wolfhound would open the fight at range and do crippling damage before closing to brawling distance with equal firepower to the Jenner, more armor, and presumably facing a damaged opponent that they had wounded on the way in. Then it moved on to the backline, fast enough to run down the Panther, a long-range fire support mech that the Combine also loved to use, and the Wolfhound was capable of weathering the incoming particle cannon shots before closing to point blank, where the Panther couldn't fire back due to the minimum range of its weapon. For all intents, the Wolfhound would then proceed to take the Panther apart piece by piece. So when the Combine came up against the Hellhounds and tried their usual outmaneuver, outflank, outfight strategy, it failed catastrophically. Just fields upon fields of dead weebs in their stupid bright red painted mechs. Once the Combine, Vanguard, and flanking units were all but destroyed, the Wolfhound turned the Combine strategy on its head. Now it was the Lyrans, with a flanking force of light mechs that the Combine couldn't keep up with or outfight. The rear lines of fire support mechs fell as the Wolfhounds closed in, and later the entire Combine line crumbled as they were pressed by the Lyran steamroller in front and the endless harass of this new light mech from the rear. Absolute success, and one of the smartest things FedCom could have done, because they didn't just design a good light mech, they purpose-built one to screw over their enemy's #1 strategy, the hardest Uno reverse that you could possibly deliver. And in a number of early battles, the Wolfhound basically rolled the entire battle by itself due to the pressure it put out. Also, I'd like to point out, when it was used in 3028, the Combine failed to recover a single mech to study or copy, because every battle the Wolfhound showed up in was a defeat for the Combine, pushing them off the field.
Most average Combine failure. In other news, we have finally scrolled down to Forza. They have Forza Horizon 6 on here. It's not even out yet.
What? This list gets more cursed the longer it goes on. I feel like you might be
we
delving...
finally got into some good games. We have Forza Horizon, Gears of War 2, Madden 16, Gears of War 3, The Show 25, and then we go back down to Horizon 2, and then a couple more Madden games.
I am this close to taking away your internet privileges.
Take away Discord privileges. Just of Discord in general, not of me. Just Discord.
You know what? That works as well. When you actually look at the giant list of defeats, like, it's actually absurd. I'll see if I can find... This is the opening of the war. If you read it all, it's just the Lyran Commonwealth attacks or captures, and it's just nothing but that. It's just a massive, never-ending list of just that. Look at all of the free L's that the dragon was being force-fed. This is truly the greatest of all the succession wars. It's peak. Nothing makes me happier than seeing the worst faction getting fucking rolled. God, I hate the Combine. I hate them so much. This entire video is Lyran propaganda. Unfortunately for all the haters and the Combine fans, the propaganda is true.
History is whatever we make it, and the Combine sucks here, and we are the sole source of history. Therefore, what we say is true.
I mean, the Capellans are like the joke faction where there's no realistic universe that they should accomplish anything. There's just so many problems. They're the comedic relief faction. But, like, the Combine is actually just the worst. They're a giant ball of insanity that somehow just keeps trucking, despite the fact that they should have exploded 100 times over. And it's just everything about this faction makes me so mad that they still exist. Anyways.
Now, speaking of comedic relief on here, we have another game.
Stop. I didn't ask. Nobody asked. So
How about Warhammer 40k Mechanicus 2?
Okay, that one I'm super hyped for. That one gets to stay in the video.
Okay.
I approve of that one. The double standards of I approve of your interruptions when I agree with them. So it took 11 years of fighting and ongoing conflicts for the Combine to destroy and capture enough of them to actually study the Wolfhound and make their own Temu copy that they named the Wolf Trap, because they have not a single brain cell to spare between all of them for creativity or cleverness. And I will die on this hill, the Wolf Trap is ass.
I believe the correct thing there is what design. In terms of design, we have 0 design.
Oh my god. We haven't talked about the dragon before, the mech or the grand dragon, but my god, the things that I could say about that mech would rustle a lot of jimmies.
Well, what do you have to say about Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 2?
Excellent game. Moving on. Even despite having several battlefield setbacks, though, and even with the Combine being able to actually break down and study the mech so they could figure out how the thing worked and what its weaknesses were, it didn't really do anything. The Wolfhound still suffered the lowest casualty rates of any other mech in the fighting, both in mechs lost and pilots killed, so it was one of the safest assignments you could get. A huge part of this as well was the full head ejection system. If you look at the actual Wolfhound models and stuff, you'll notice that the head looks a lot more defined and a lot more separated from the chassis than you normally get for a lot of battle mechs, and that's because the whole thing was basically an escape pod. The entire thing had escape rockets built into the bottom of it, and when you pulled the emergency eject, instead of launching your pilot and their seat out of the mech on a big rocket, the entire thing took off like a little shuttle that the mech warrior could pilot for a few minutes, armored and protected out of the actual battle zone so that they could be safely recovered or escape or whatever. So the Wolfhound was not only a tough brick of a light mech with like maxed out armor, it was also incredibly effective at keeping skilled pilots alive, which too often is entirely ignored in fiction, whereas the Combine or the Capellans suffered huge losses in their light mech forces. The Wolfhound almost guaranteed that pilots would survive engagements, meaning pilots would gain experience and skill to come back and try again. And the difference between a soldier that's seen and survived a dozen battles and a soldier that's seeing their first is night and day. You can look at the air war in the Pacific to see the difference that skill makes against inexperience. The Great Mariana's Turkey Shoot says hello, 5-to-1 KD ratio with hundreds of planes shot down. So while Combine mech warriors just starting out in light mech divisions would falter or panic or retreat at sudden battlefield changes or reversals or losses, Wolfhound units would very quickly find themselves staffed by experienced mech warriors, and new pilots would have veterans to teach them the ropes from minute one. And altogether, pound for pound, it meant that the mech was far more effective than it had any right to be. And while the Wolfhound started out strong, it would only continue to grow better. The best part of this mech is from the perspective of logistics, and mech techs absolutely loved this thing because of how stupid simple it was. Mech warriors loved it because it was just a really high quality machine that made survival a priority and victory on the battlefield far easier to pull off. But on the technical side, it was extremely forgiving because it was designed with bargain bin parts. Most of the Wolfhound was made with parts and internals that were already in mass production, so they just had to retool them a little bit. Parts were cheap and readily available. It was also designed to be worked on by a moron, because there was nothing fancy in it beside the head ejection system. No ammo feeds, since it was an all-energy platform, no jump jets and energy supply systems to support them, no fancy additions like TSM or mask or any of the other speed tweaks that make the internals fragile, no endosteel or ferrofibrous armor that requires like special orbital fabrication hubs. It is the most milquetoast of designs, which meant that you could lug the thing into a shed and fix most of the issues you might run into maintenance-wise, and you only really need basic lifts or cranes to replace the armor paneling in the field. It's not great for the mech to support its own weight while you're doing this, but you can do it if you really need to. So the mech put almost no stress on the logistics systems beyond spare parts. Truly, this is a mech for the everyman and the clanner. No logistics? No problem. Their invasion of the Inner Sphere would have gone a lot better if they had more mechs like this.
Yo,
10
Ace
minutes.
Combat 5: The Unsung War. It's arrived. We're balling.
Oh, an Ace Combat thing. Aren't you supposed to be working on that topic
Next.
for the special?
Next.
No, come on. Aren't you supposed to be working on
Next.
it? You chose it. This is 100% you. Come on. How's the progress on it going?
Next. I had to replay through all the games first.
You had to
most of the way
replay.
through
You
five.
couldn't have. You could have. You didn't have to. Are you replaying every single game in the Ace Combat series?
No, just 4, 5, 0, 6, 7.
I'm so glad that you only listed like 5, because I was fully convinced once I started hearing the numbers that you were just going to list every single one of them except for like 1 or 2.
Do you know how many there are in the
A
franchise?
lot. There are so many Ace Combat games. That's what I was saying. I thought you were about to do the bit where you read like 80% of them, and it's just like the last 3 or 4. They're like, no, I'm not playing all of them. Proceeds to list basically all of them.
To be fair, I mean, I do need to go play Air Combat.
Well, I mean, when the new Ace Combat game comes out, you and I can play it. It is multiplayer compatible.
I am kind of attempting to time it with the release of that, and they haven't really announced when the release of that one is.
Steve, you can't use the release date as justification to procrastinate forever. You could be working on it now.
Well, you see, remember, this was originally going to be a Gears of War video, and then the remaster released of that already, so I said, fuck, I can't do that now. What's the next game that's coming out that I like?
Steve, our channel makes videos on a science fiction setting that's like 40 years old. I don't think timing really matters to our audience.
Nope. Well, it might not matter to the audience, but it matters to the non-audience members that the video might bring in.
It's a one-off special, Steve. Anyone
It's
that's
a one-off special that might bring more people to the channel if we time this shit right.
This man's out here playing checkers and calling it 5D chess.
Next.
Anyways, back on track. The first version of the Wolfhound was an amazing success, and instead of refitting it or really changing anything significant, the Lyrans showed a remarkable amount of restraint and intelligence. They just upgraded the thing with advanced tech and said, that's good enough. Turning the single heat sinks to doubles, upgrading the large laser to an extended range variant, and that was pretty much it. And while the retooling of the various factories to produce this upgraded version en masse couldn't be completed before the clans crippled themselves on Tukiad, the big oopsie, it was produced en masse just in time for the Fedcom Civil War, which unfortunately means that the Wolfhound is in a bit of a strange position since, unlike a lot of mechs, it doesn't have a lot of history. It was put into service at the tail end of Battletech's like 900-year timeline, performed amazingly during the Fourth Succession War, and did significantly better than most other light mechs during the Clan Invasion, Jihad, and Dark Ages, because it's just a really solid mech. It's simple, there's nothing fancy or ridiculous on it, it's just a very solid, simple mech frame. You don't have any of the random like SRM2 in here for no reason, or unnecessary jump jets, or a pointless targeting computer. Like, it's just a well-designed, simple mech. And the various upgrade packages pretty much universally keep this theme, only really increasing the firepower of the main arm gun, or tweaking the weapons loadout for closer or longer range focus. Otherwise, it's almost unchanged up to the current year in Battletech. They just keep upgrading the weapons as new technology comes online. There is one massive downside for this thing though. It is unreasonably ungodly expensive. Not by a little bit either. It's anywhere from 60 to 100% more expensive than the mechs it's supposed to be fighting, which gave it a bit of an interesting quirk during the Fedcom Civil War and beyond, and like all of its timeline going forward, being that it wasn't really widespread outside of Lyran space. Most of the other mechs in the 30 to 35 ton range come in at 2 to 3.5 million C-bills. The Wolfhound is 5.5. There are a lot of really good mediums you could buy for that price. I mean, like 2 Wolfhounds is 3 Centurions worth of mech that you're purchasing.
It's a lot of tank. Which version is this? Is this the Centurion 7?
All right, yeah, fair enough. It is just 3 Centurion tanks. We'll swap the mech for the tank. The British are somehow back. The Space Empire has returned, or whatever. I don't know. Something god awful Star Wars sequels. Whatever.
Something. The Spice Company, West India Company, whatever the fuck it is. They've expanded to the stars.
The West India Company.
Whatever the fuck the name of it was. I don't fucking know.
The British East
Dutch
India.
East India? Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, they've had a sequel. They said we're done with the East. We're moving to the West.
Oh my god, yeah, okay. So, despite being, like, almost objectively the best inner sphere light mech built up to that point, in my opinion, the price was prohibitively expensive and restricted its use outside of the Lyran Commonwealth. Even during the Fedcom Civil War, it was mostly just used by the Lyran half, as they actually had the money and resources to build something like that. And it's important to mention, again, it's not the maintenance costs or anything. Like, the Wolfhound was super cheap to upkeep and run. It was just that that initial sticker price sent your jaw into hell and your eyebrows into orbit when you saw it, which I guess that's what you pay for quality.
Something along those lines.
The Wolfhound also has a few rather famous pilots, which you will not know anything about, but a lot of the people watching will know. Daniel Allard and Phelan Ward. Daniel Allard was the commander of the Kellhounds, an incredibly influential and important mercenary unit that played roles in everything from the Fourth Succession War to the Clan Invasion and beyond. He had a souped-up version of the Wolfhound, augmented with a bunch of stolen clan tech from what I remember. So he slapped a Clan XL into that thing, along with an extended range medium lasers and a particle cannon, because the biggest energy weapon possible was always going to find its way into the Wolfhound. And Phelan Ward was... well, he was basically yet another main character during the era of Clan Wolf dominance, going on to do many important and ridiculous things that should have killed him, up to and including conquering an entire planet by himself.
He's just built different. That's all I've gathered from this.
I mean, he quite literally is. He has the plot armor of a saint, so, I mean, he can do it all. Like, granted, he negotiated a bloodless surrender, but they still dropped one guy onto a world and expected him to take it, so it's like, it would not be... It was also against one of his most hated rivals. So the dude he convinced to bloodlessly surrender was someone that wanted him dead and hated his guts. So, yeah, the real protection the Wolfhound has in all of its pilots is plot armor. His variant was also a disco laser vomit build, just pulse laser on pulse laser on pulse laser ad infinitum, 4 of them in the torso, a large one in the arm, alongside some clan tech improvements, which funnily enough has confused a great many people forever about the Wolfhound 2C, the clan variant, because Ulrich Kerensky let Phelan rebuild his Wolfhound from the ground up with clan tech. So while there is a fully clan tech Wolfhound running around, like Clan Endo, Pharaoh, XL, Combat Computer, all that jazz and 10 million lasers backing it up, it's not like a canon thing. It's just a one-off. Though other versions of the quote-unquote 2C do exist, because apparently the clans thought it was such a good mech that instead of just dumping it on Salama units, they actually refit the chassis with top-of-the-line gear, but there's no, like, official clan version of the mech.
There might not be an official clan version of that, but what are your thoughts upon, is it wrong to try to shoot 'em up girls in a dungeon?
What?
That's the name of the game, sir.
Oh my god, okay.
Or there is Snakeboat, Autorific Arcade.
Snake... What, is this like Snakes on a Plane, except it's on a boat instead?
I have no clue. Speaking of which, there is a movie called Snakes on a Train by The Asylum, which is, I believe,
I
know,
we've...
I have said this several times.
You have.
A lot of... actually watch the movie, but...
Knockoff Timumu. I am never going to watch them. I saw one Sharknado movie, was like, wow, this is unfettered garbage, and decided to never watch another Asylum movie ever again.
Okay, well, we gotta get you into a good Asylum movie.
Okay, anyways, we are almost done. We are literally in the home stretch. We're only like 10 minutes behind. It's been a minor miracle. So I want to talk about a couple variants of the Wolfhound just because I think they're funny. The first one is the Wolfhound 2, which is the one that you will find most commonly. This is the one that I think is like borderline mech magic. It's just so good despite being so primitive for no reason. This thing can run at about 100 kilometers per hour, which is extremely fast for a light mech this heavily armed and armored without using an XL or something else. It carries one extended range large laser in the arm, 4 medium lasers, 3 in the torso facing forward, and canonically the 4th one is on the back facing backwards because I guess the designers thought it would be really, really funny if someone flanked the mech only to find out that it could still shoot them backwards, which is quite humorous. But the PGI version that just puts all 4 of the medium lasers pointing straight forward, I do think that is a far scarier variant of the Wolfhound. And then supporting all of this this is 10 double heat sinks, which basically cancel out all the heat problems this mech has. So it's fast, it's very easy to manage its heat, it's got a huge amount of firepower for its tonnage, and it has the maximum 7.5 tons of armor that you can mount on a chassis of this size. So it's very well protected, and it's very beefy. It's just an amazing light mech that performs so far above what it should for no reason. I have never once been disappointed by this mech, no matter where I put it. Next up, we have the 3M, which I want to put in here just because I think it's just the worst thing that's ever been designed, the exact opposite. This is basically how you ruin this mech, and of course it was done by the purple bird, because the purple bird just has to ruin everything. Like the pigeons they are, they shit on everything good. The 3M is a post-Jihad field refit of the Wolfhound that was used by the Free Worlds League, or the former states of the Free Worlds League after that nation officially exploded. The 3M removes 2 double heat sinks and 1/2 ton of armor, because they're just going to make it worse, first off. Then they replace all of the lasers and the particle cannon that it came with, default, in the one they were modifying, to put a single light Gauss rifle with a single ton of ammunition. So they stripped off all of the energy weapons that didn't need ammo just to put on one light Gauss that did significantly less damage at a middlingly comparable range with a single this is genuinely why. Why would you ever do this? You took a great mech and you made it garbage for no other reason than, I don't know, I guess you thought it would be fun to have a light Gauss rifle in there. And finally, the Wolfhound 4W. This one I wanted to include because I just have to get my obligatory awesome hate in here. I despise the awesome, and I just thought it was funny to have an objectively superior version of that mech, but as a light, like basically half the tonnage. Because the 4W carries 3 light PPCs mounted in the torsos, as well as an ER medium laser and an ER small in the right arm, which you could probably strip off to just put more heat sinks in the damn thing. So not only is this version of the Wolfhound still very fast and very well protected, it also has 3 light PPCs, but because it's fast, it actually makes it like a better sniper and skirmisher than the Awesome. The Awesome will never stop catching strays. I hate that thing. Half of its total tonnage is devoted to nothing but heat sinks, and it still overheats constantly. That mech is bad. It's a giant broad wall of metal designed to be shot at, and that pretty much covers everything I wanted to go over. There's not much else left to cover. That's basically the end of the video. Do you want to say anything before we do the outro, Steve?
Not really on hair stuff. We are finding out some interesting things, though.
You're continuing to... You're looking into the abyss, and the abyss is looking back, Steve. You need to pull your eyes away from it, step away from the computer, stop looking at this
You have no clue how true what you're saying is currently.
Yeah, you need to stop. As your owner and the guy who's profiting off of you, I'm telling you, you need to step back for your own well-being so that we can continue to record these videos. You are not well. But aside from that, there's pretty much nothing else to talk about. So, yeah, to all the people that made it to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. This was clearly something you enjoyed, or you are the target audience. So why not leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, ring the bell button to be notified of future releases, all that wonderful stuff that helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. If you're feeling a little more generous, you can also check out our channel memberships, where you get access to content a day or two early, occasionally get some members-only content, and occasionally get to vote on what videos get made. If not, and you just want to hang out, we do have a Discord where you can chill with your fellow turbo nerds, discuss sci-fi stuff, and generally just shoot the shit. To all of the people already supporting the channel, a huge thanks to the coffee vendors, making sure that my war on sleep is ever successful. One day I shall never sleep again, with my blood replaced by pure caffeine. To the food merchants, making sure that my co-host is ever docile and ready to go for recording sessions, a huge thanks to you guys as well. And to the arms dealers, a hearty thank you for supplying all the toys and examples in today's video. I have had great fun running circles around the Combine Menace in my small army of Wolfhounds. Your contributions are greatly appreciated. And with that, the video's pretty much over. I got nothing else to say. Goodbye!